of the MLK Memorial in D.C. to offer an updated version of his Jim Crow in the 21st Century speech.
This struggle is no longer just over who gets to vote or making it easier for eligible people to vote. It's about who gets to count the votes, whether they should count at all. Jim Crow in the 21st century is now a sinister combination of voter suppression and election subversion. My fellow Americans, I thought at one point that I had been able to do something good as chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I was able to get every member of the committee, including some of the most conservative members that ever served, clearly who had racist backgrounds, to vote to extend the Voting Rights Act for 25 years. I thought, whoa, one of the proudest things I ever did as a senator. But guess what? This means that some state legislatures want to make it harder for you to vote. And if you do vote, they want to be able to tell you whether or not your vote counts. That's not happened before. They want the ability to reject the final vote and ignore the will of the people. If their preferred candidate, black or white or Asian or Latino, doesn't matter if their candidate doesn't win.
Those modern-day Jim Crowists are pretty interesting. They support black, white, Latino, Asian candidates. Anyway, I digress. This is just an updated version of the misdirection by projection, projecting onto Republicans what the Democrats are doing with their Zuckerbucks and their Zuckerboxes, the infiltration of local election offices by political operatives, as we've discussed, as has been well documented, and the rejection of things, simple things like voter ID laws that would provide additional safeguards to ensure that no one's vote is discounted and then every legitimate vote is counted. But you have to manufacture fear on this issue, like every other, if you want to move your agenda when your agenda is just always and singularly aggrandize state power at the expense of the individual. And that's what we see happening with the Democrat Socialist Senate play to federalize the elections this week that was stopped by Republicans, and Biden being trotted out to do his duty to keep that issue at least in the public discussion, if not in moving in the houses of Congress. For more on this topic locally, pleased to be joined by State Senator and GOP candidate for governor, Darren Bailey. Darren, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, since we have a General Assembly dominated by Biden, Democrat Socialists, it doesn't seem like it's very possible to do anything to improve the quality of election administration in Illinois along the lines of what we've seen done in Florida and Georgia and Texas and Wisconsin and elsewhere. So what is it that you hope to do, maybe like Biden in this sense, at least to present ideas that make their way into public discussion to perhaps provide some pressure on a General Assembly or a future General Assembly to act?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, I mean, what you guys do every day, we have to educate the public. We can sit around all the time and talk about what the problem is. We can, we don't drive looking in our rear view mirror. We drive looking out of the front of the windshield and figuring out where to turn and where to go. And we've been talking about ideas like this for quite some time. Yesterday, I finally introduced a set of bills that, just an election integrity plan, four key points. I want to codify into law. They're supposed to already be doing this, but to simply codify an annual cleaning of the voter rolls every year to make sure that, and this responsibility is a local responsibility. Let's not forget that. This whole situation with election fraud, election integrity, this sits in the hands of the county clerk. Let's not forget that. Let's make sure that we show up to our county meetings and our county courthouses and hold our clerks, accountable if indeed we're having problems. Number two, calling for a digital tracking of every ballot in Illinois. That the United States Postal Service, does a wonderful job of this. There's no reason in the world why we can't scan barcode every ballot once it leaves the printer to the actual time it returns to the courthouse. Number three, regular audit on the Illinois election system. We believe that a 1% audit of signatures and ballots every election will at least give us, some idea of the accuracy and integrity of every election. And then finally, and which I believe probably, most importantly, a mandatory voter ID. You want to get fraud out of the way. Let's make sure that we know who these people are who are voting, and there's no reason why we can't put that on the driver's license. And if you don't have a driver's license and you need a state ID, man, you know as well as anybody, Dan, that I hate taxes. I hate increased spending. I'll do everything possible to reduce spending, and especially in a year and a half from now when I'm governor. But I do propose to hand out free whoever needs these voter ID cards, because interestingly enough, a year ago when we talked about this on the floor, that was the one and only complaint that people could not afford the voter ID card. So let's, aside from the great men and women who serve our country, who put their lives on the line serving in our armed forces, I believe in equal responsibility and duty for us as Americans is to make sure that we show up and vote, and to make sure that our voting system is correct and accurate.
Yeah. But with a Democratic dominant legislature, is this going to go anywhere?
Well, I'm going to tell you what. Maybe 2 years ago, as a state representative, I would have probably thrown my hands up and Chicken Little, the sky is falling and we can't do anything. I can tell you guys that as a candidate for governor, ever since I sued J.B. Pritzker and won a year ago and have been invited all over the state, people are frustrated. People are angry. If we educate the people and get them involved with their local courthouse, with their local state rep, state senator, I can tell you that across the state, when I have conversations with people, very few people know, especially up in your area, hardly anyone knows who their state representative and state senator is. So, yes, we educate them like you guys do every day. I think they'll show up.
They'd be greatly disappointed if and when they ever find out who they are and meet them, generally speaking.
Yes.
Vile
creatures.
With respect to your attorney, or at least the attorney you employed when you challenged the governor early on in the pandemic over lockdown policies, Tom DeVore, he's now representing parents across the state who are suing the governor, the Illinois Department of Public Health Director, the Illinois State Board of Education, and 145 some school districts over mask mandates and kicking kids out of school without an adjudication by the county health department. What's your position on that suit and this fight that Tom DeVore has taken up, along with the parents, of course?
Well, thank you. It's a lot like my suit, that has never been overturned, never been dismissed. It's up to the people to finally step up and take their schools back and take their communities back. So I've been perplexed during this whole entire journey of why more attorneys refuse to and will not stand up and when they've been asked. And I know there's been a lot of them decline. I don't know if it's misunderstanding of the constitutional process. I don't know. But this is what gives Americans hope, and that's all we need. We need a glimmer of hope, and we move forward. Yes, this is the real deal. When the Illinois High School Association is told that you have no authority within the law to tell the schools, to tell a school that you can't play sports. Governor Pritzker and the Illinois State Board of Education, there are specific reasons to revoke a charter or to pull funding. And not complying with one of the governor's fake orders is certainly not one of them, and that is being upheld in these courts of law.
So a few days ago, Mark Batnick and State Representative Dan Agaste, probably pronouncing his name wrong, but they held a press conference to publicly call for an end to the unilateral rule through the executive use of emergency orders. And, it's going viral a little bit, what's been happening. But what took so long, and where are all the other Republicans? Because it's been, 91 executive orders, emergency orders in a row for no reason. Can't you guys stop them somehow?
I think that it's as we went back before when we started educating the people. I think their constituents are finally standing up. They're hearing the message of truth. Many of them, through the process, have traveled through southern Illinois. They see that the southern half of Illinois has been open all year, and they're wondering why their areas are not. So they've turned the heat up. And I thank Representative Batnick and Agaste for doing what they're doing. And you're exactly right. Sometimes, we think about how long it took America to enter in to World War II. And it took a while until we were prodded and poked enough. And I think the same process is holding true for us here statewide. We're seeing the devastation of these mandates, these fake, false mandates, and we're finally realizing, especially as they see the Chicago representatives and senators marching through the halls of the Capitol unmasked, when we are in session, when they see them sitting at tables of 10, 12 or more, living it up, no mask. But when they go back in front of the camera, they slam their masks on and they put on their show. So I think they've witnessed that, and they've seen it, and they've had enough.
Mm-hmm. And with respect to your gubernatorial bid, or your bid at least first and foremost for the nomination of the Republican Party next summer, June, how are you being received up here, particularly among the moneyed elites? Just like to check in on that because, I know you, and I know you're a smart and talented guy, but, you're a hillbilly from Southern Illinois, places that all the people up here don't know, have never been to, never will go to. And so you don't know nothing about the big city problems and how to deal with sophisticated people who got college degrees and everything. So, they can't support you. So how's that going?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that, because I think it's ironic that everyone agrees that Illinois needs something different, and I think that we're going to be that radically different a choice that Illinois does indeed need. And I just ask people ask all the time, how's it going? And I ask then, have you ever asked someone running for office how it's going? And they just told you, man, it's not going well, it's terrible. Follow my social media, Facebook. Yeah, I was told you get north of I-80, they're not going to receive you well. Well, guess what? North of I-80, north of 88, north of 90, downtown Chicago, yes, we are garnering those meetings. I do believe a lot of the big funders are probably going to sit idle through the primary, because they want to. I think people are hungry for something different, so they're going to see who's going to come out on top in the primary. I have absolutely no doubt that I will garner that support. I've already garnered good, decent support. You can look at the D2s, IllinoisSunshine.org, and you can see the over 10,000 unique individual donors from $5 on up that no other campaign, I don't believe, in Illinois history has seen the movement that we are garnering. So, no, it's going quite well. We're just moving through the process, opening the doors every day, walking through them, and we are being received very well. And like I said, the proof of that is on our Facebook page, Darren Bailey for Governor, Bailey for Illinois. Look it up and check it out.
And my understanding from your caucus leader and the House caucus leader is the directive to candidates is don't talk about mandates, don't talk about COVID, talk about lowering taxes, because these people don't know anything about messaging or running an election, or certainly winning elections, and they're afraid of their own shadows. They're happy to just, sit and get paid, basically, most of them. What's your position on the state employee vax mandates, the vax mandates in general, all of the mask mandates, all of these mandates? What would you do as governor if you were governor today?
Absolutely. Well, I've always contended, and I want to reiterate, I am not anti-mask. I am not anti-vaccine. But starting with my removal from the House a little over a year ago because I refused to comply with the brand new mandate that was pointed at me, all the way to the point of helping hundreds of people within my district to receive the vaccines. We let people live free. Government educates, government informs. That's what my administration will do. We have the Illinois Department of Public Health to help come up with solutions. We can roll back to the federal government to come up with solutions. But at the end of the day, we lay these solutions, we lay these ideas in front of the people of Illinois, and we let them choose what they think that they need. This situation with the Chicago Police Department, the Illinois State Police, I've got men and women calling me weekly, asking my opinion on what to do. And I'm, first and foremost, you have to do what makes sense, for your life. But if I were you, I would stand fast. Your right is protected under constitutional law. It's going to be interesting next week when we come back into a veto session of which we have absolutely no bills to override. They're just simply coming up with a new nonsense to comply with. But it is expected that aside from the maps, that we will be talking about the healthcare situation with the conscientious objection. And I personally don't think this is going to go anywhere. But people, I'm just saying, stand strong. The governor keeps rolling back these deadlines.
Right, but it's not only Chicago Police. I mean, the Illinois Department of Corrections, only half of their staff is vaccinated. There's a Peoria Adult Transition Center that's 13% vaccinated. We're going to have a lot of job openings come November 3rd. Or November 30th, excuse me.
Yes, and I commend these men and women, because what needs to happen is a day or a week walk off, from their job. Let's just show them. But these men and women care so much about their jobs. They're the people. They're the people that they are serving and protecting, whether it's in the nursing homes, whether it's the hospitals, whether it's the Department of Corrections and the prisons. When I talk to them, there's a care there that they just know this moral. This moral, idea of walking away from a duty, they object to that, but they certainly still continue to stand up and fight against this idea that they must be vaccinated against their will.
He is State Senator Darren Bailey, who is also a Republican candidate for governor. More information on his campaign can be found at baileyforillinois.com. That's baileyforillinois.com. Darren, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for what you guys do. God bless.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. That means that 82% of you listening right now will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. If you're hiring, 82% of you will recall that ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And